Hello and welcome to day 3 of the Simplify Your Life series. If you don't know what this is, I will put a link up here for you and also in the description box below so you can get caught up with what we're doing here. So today we are sorting out books. Reading gives us somewhere to go when we have to stay where we are. Mason Cooley. What fine words, and how appropriate at this present time. Today is going to be quite tricky if you love books, and I'm just throwing us in there at the start with day 3 doing books, because normally books, sentimental items on any decluttering kind of challenge is usually at the end, but I just thought let's go for it, we're doing so well. And I like to think when getting rid of books, not what I'm getting rid of, but which books I am choosing to keep. Which ones do I love? Only last week I was starting a book and reading it for the sake of reading it, and I thought that's not why I like reading books, just to get them out the way, or because I bought it 4 or 5 years ago I feel like I have to read it. It's okay to outgrow books. It's okay not to keep them on the shelves. And it is very tricky to sort out what you love compared to what you think you should have on your shelf. And I personally have a lot of books. I love reading, and I know this is going to be tricky for me because I've done plenty of declutters already, sorted out my books numerous times, and I feel like I've got them so finely tuned. I've still got a lot of books, but I'm already thinking I've changed a lot in the last couple of years, and there's books on my shelves that I won't look at again, or I'm not going to reread again. And some of them I haven't read, but I actually am not interested in reading that style of book anymore. So, step 1. Gather all your books into one place so you know what you're working with. And I'm not just talking your general fiction or non-fiction books here. I'm talking reference books, encyclopedias, textbooks, cookery books, so recipe books, magazines. Even if you've got an old phone book lying around, get it all into one space so you can start sorting through it. Now I'm quite lucky because I have all my books in one place, and I keep everything on this shelving unit here, which goes all the way down to the floor, and I've also got a section on this side over here as well. I used to have this whole wall full of books. I'll try and insert a picture for you, and it was crazy the amount I've actually got rid of, and I've still got quite a lot of space that I probably don't need this amount of shelves for. So I'm going to take them all off and see how I get on and show you them when they're all on the floor somewhere. So here we go, this is what we're working with from top to bottom. So I've got those 3 shelves there and those 3 shelves there, and then I've got a shelf at the bottom, a shelf there of recipe books and a few random things, a couple of books there, one there, but all that used to be filled with books which is no longer. So I'm going to get cracking. And I have got all the books down now from the shelving units, and all the magazines, a few other random little things. I found my Kindle up there, which I forgot was there. And there is quite a lot here. I thought I'd got rid of a lot last time, but seeing it all in one space makes you realise how much is still left. But the good thing about getting everything down, I find, is that when everything's in its normal place and what you're used to having it in, it becomes the norm. You kind of get used to seeing it, so it kind of becomes invisible. But by taking it out and putting it somewhere else, it makes you see it differently and lets you focus on it properly, which is why we take everything out of their normal space. Now, is anybody else a bit of a dork like me that alphabetises their books? Yes, it broke my heart getting all these books from the shelves down onto the floor because I was trying to keep them in order because I've got them all alphabetised. But I just couldn't do it. In the end, it was just a matter of putting them all on the floor. Once you've got everything gathered, what you want to then start doing is deciding which books you want to keep, which ones you love, which ones you're going to read again, or you haven't read but you desperately want to read. Don't just keep something for the sake of it. And some guiding questions for you to help you along are the following. Are you keeping it because you like the cover? Are you keeping it because it makes you look well-read or intelligent? Will you read that book again? Is it part of a set and are you only keeping it because of that reason? Do you love it? Do you want to read it? Is it something that you look at the back of and think, I can't wait to get stuck into this book? Well, that took me a lot longer than I thought. I've gone through all these books here, and this whole pile are the ones I'm getting rid of, and I'm surprised how much I'm getting rid of, to be honest. But I just knew as I was taking things off the shelves that some things I've read already and I know I won't reread. Other things I'm just not interested in. I probably read all of these actually, apart from 3, I think. So that's not too bad. All these ones are a mixture of ones I've read that I absolutely love, know I'm going to read again, and quite a lot that I've not read yet. And I was looking at the backs of them, and this is why it's taken me so long. I've probably been doing this maybe 2 hours because I got into reading all the back to the covers, and it was a bit of a moment where I'm thinking I need to just move on, I need to keep doing this. But when you love books as much as I do, you can't help but read the backs of the books and remind yourself what that book is about. And I'm glad I did, because it's really helped me focus on which ones I want to keep. And it's so funny because I was picking, say for example, this one up. I'd pick this up and think, oh yes, I can't wait to read this. And it just gave me that feeling of excitement to read it. Or one that I've read before, which one? That I knew I absolutely loved. Well, the Harry Potter collection, obviously. And I know that feeling that you get when you read a book, how happy it makes you, or how excited you are to read it. And then I'd pick something like this up, and it was a very good book, and I read it. But why I'm keeping it, because I looked at it and thought, oh yeah, it was a good book, but it was a bit hard work. Or I'd read this and think, yeah, it was really well written, but I have no reason to read it again because I know the story and it's just not something I'm interested in reading again. So it becomes easier the more you do this, is what I'm trying to say. When you have one that you know you're excited about, or you have one that you know you've loved, it's easy then to look at one that you don't love as much or you're not as interested in reading, and it just helps confirms everything. Now, I did manage to get rid of some books out of all this section. Not a lot, because a lot of these are just my favourite books and I love them and I refer to them, and I've also been inspired to start looking at them more, which is, I suppose, a good thing about this whole process. Now, these are the books I'm getting rid of. I have a lot of magazines over here, and these are all recipes and magazines with ideas of food and things that I refer to all the time. I love looking through. What I might do at some point is go through all these magazines though and cut out my favourite recipes and the ones that I really like, and perhaps take photographs of them and put them in a file. But for now, I'm keeping them because they do bring me a lot of joy and I'm still using them. And I've got a lot of piano books as well over here, and a lot of that probably could go, but I like referring to them. I like practicing some of the pieces that I used to know. And again, it brings me a lot of joy. I feel like I've got far too many hobbies because I've got a lot of travel things. These are all my photography books. I think I didn't even, I got rid of one photography book, but they're all my photography books. They're my travel, walking. They're just my nice reference books. This is all recipe books and food. Yeah, I think this is like my tricky area. But I love all these books and I don't want to get rid of them, so they are staying. But these are going to go on the donate pile. Another thing to remember is check out any books that you've got that aren't yours, and make sure you return them to the people that you borrowed them from. These are from my mum. We're heading to Haworth at some point, where the Brontes are from, and we're going to do a little trip there. So she lent me these books, but obviously I've not seen her in the last month or two to give her them back. So Mum, I've still got them and I will give you them back when I see you. Once you've gone through them all and decided which ones you're keeping, now's the time to put them all back. But first, what you want to do is clear out all the area in which the books came, get it all nice and sparkly clean so you can put those loved backs exactly in the nice clean space that they deserve. And here we have the finished result, all the books back in their place, and the reference books down there. And finally, some Jane Austen books, Winnie the Pooh book, and my Harry Potter book there. And these are my recipe books that I've decided to keep downstairs in the kitchen. Now, the books that are left, what you want to do is box them up and get ready to donate them or to get rid of them if they're in really bad condition. If it's tricky at this present moment in time to get them out of your house, put them somewhere out of sight, as with everything in this process. And what I like to do is keep a box separate, and that box goes for my family or friends, and I will put books or things in there that I think people that I know will get a lot of enjoyment out of. day, what you're left with is just books in your house and your living space that you love, books that you want to read, books that bring you happiness, not something that's just taking up space in your house that you're having to constantly dust and clean and over time will just deteriorate because it's just sitting there. These books which you love will be left, and that is going to be an amazing feeling, knowing that when you're going to your shelf or the designated space where you keep your books, you know that all those books there are something you want to read or have in your life. And that's it for day 3. So pat yourself on the back, and I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 4 of Simplify Your Life. Goodbye!